You guys are Northeastern students, okay? You're great students by the fact that you're here at Northeastern. You know how to study. You know how to get good grades, okay? You know how to be a professional full-time student, okay? You do that great, okay? So functionally, you have those skills to be a great student. But do you walk into a room and can you energize the room, okay? Do people feed off of your energy, okay? Are you able to actually go ahead and execute the decision and the plan that you made for yourself? Do you have that edge? Okay, you need to have those skills. You can't get caught up in your title when you get out and you have a great degree and you get a job and I'm going to be this, senior marketing person or chief manufacturing engineer. Don't get caught up in your title. Don't get caught up. You need to work the soft skills. Do whatever it takes to get the job done. Throw your title away, know how to deal with your boss and with your peers and with your customers, and that is what's going to get you through and make you successful.
Sure. Well, the thing I like about my current role is sort of a hybrid between a corporate transportation job as well as a field-related operations position. So I think the logistics rotational program really kind of set me up for that because, as I'll probably talk about at some point this morning, this afternoon. You get to see a lot of different things in the rotational program, so it exposed me to a lot of different things, and it allowed me to really be successful in what I'm doing now. We also acquired Corporate Express, which is about an $8 billion office supply company, about 3 years ago, and since then, what I'm still working on is that integration of our delivery network. So really having an impact to our transportation overall, our supply chain, and the savings that we're looking to gain by acquiring that company. So I'm kind of lucky in the sense that I'm not really an office kind of guy, and I get to do a little bit of both and enjoy work in the field as well as some ties to the corporate office here in Framingham. So.
Lately, I've been really excited about integrating emerging technologies into our newest laptop, taking technologies from mobile devices and building that into our laptop so that we can decrease power consumption and so children can greater utilize laptops in developing countries without having main sources of electricity like we're used to here in the U.S. Like Doug, I'm also not strictly an office guy. I get to travel around the world and see our deployments and see the effect we're having on children's lives throughout our deployments.
Well, I'm currently in my second department, so what I was really excited about was just learning what different departments within John Hancock have. Some of the options are like mutual funds, investments, John Hancock Financial Network, but I've been more strictly IT. So currently I'm in the Central Technology Office, which works on managed file transfer, network access control. So not as much field work or anything to do with the business, but more centralized IT. But for me, I find that stuff very interesting.
In manufacturing, where I work, there's always problems. So there's more problems than we have people to solve on a daily basis. But it's very fast-paced, and it's very tangible in manufacturing. So what I enjoy is that there's always going to be a customer that needs something, that needs a better delivery from us. I'm there to help fulfill that gap. There's always a shop worker that needs better safety measures. I'm there to do that. It's pinch points in the value stream that there's always going to be, and I'm there to help alleviate those bottlenecks so that we can have better output, better flow, better inventory. And when you're part of a winning team, if you had success in the past, you're always looking for it, you always count on it, but you always expect it, and it's very fulfilling because the problems are there, you know you're going to get to them, you know you're going to solve them, and then that just makes the day go by, that much better and that much faster.
A lot of times you run technology for a company and it's looked at as a cost center, and it's always sort of the beat down to reduce costs, reduce costs. And at Beloco, we really believe that the right use of technology can differentiate us from the other restaurants. So, for me to be in a place that is small enough that I can really see the difference we're making and really focused on new stuff that could engage guests and make a difference in the marketplace for us. That's the biggest reason I come to work and love what I'm doing every day. Fun project. We're just starting this year to develop a platform that is easier for all you guys to use, right? We all like things to be simple, fast, and efficient for us, right? So you should be able to go on a website or on a mobile and set up your Boloco self, right? And then go into any of our stores and identify yourself with your phone or a card or whatever we decide to use or what you prefer. And then, you know, you want your favorite number 5 and you're done. It's paid for already because we know your credit card number is already on file. And it just makes it really easy for you to use our brand and much more efficient for everybody. So it should be a fun thing.
So at Staples we offer a 2-year rotational program, and I think I finished that program about 4 years ago, so it may have changed a little bit since. They may have actually added on to it a little bit, but essentially what it is, it's a year within one of our fulfillment centers, which on the distribution side as opposed to, on the delivery side as opposed to a distribution center. On the retail side, you're fulfilling the orders that you guys might place today for something for your dorm, something for one of your classes. We're going to deliver it to you next day, so it's all next day distribution with the exception of a few remote points throughout the country. Spend a year there working in multiple departments within the fulfillment center, production, quality control, shipping, quality, whatever the case may be. 6 months in what we call an SDO, which is a service delivery operation. You spend 6 months there, and then you spend 6 months in the corporate office here in Framingham, and that's kind of a wild card. You could end up with some project management work, logistics work, really anything where you might have an interest or fit to actually recruit directly from undergrads. The one thing I'll tell you is that if it is something you pursue, be ready to move around a little bit for 2 years and be flexible, because it's not easy. I had a full head of hair when I started, so you're going to work for it, but you're going to get what you earn. You're going to be able to work with executive level people at Staples that are going to help you out through the rest of your career. So.
Right, so my rotational program is 3 years. The first year you're randomly selected to one of however many departments there are. Basically, for me it was any number of departments, but now we have a list and basically seniority wins out, and so I will be choosing my 3rd rotation, so I should have top priority, and then you have to interview and then randomly get selected. Not randomly, they tell you. Based on what the managers say, everyone else is random. And then after the 3rd year, when you graduate, you will be placed in a full-time position. Throughout the program, they also pay for classes to become a certified business analyst or a CCBA. First rotation is, I didn't even know where I was going. Okay. Second rotation, you pick 3, you interview with those 3. I rank them, the managers rank us, and then the steering committee selects.
We have a program called the OMLP program. It's the Operations Management Leadership Program. It's a 2-year program, and it's composed of 4 different assignments, 6-month assignments, that you get essentially to choose or be placed in various roles in the supply chain, particularly manufacturing, where you can have one role as an environmental health and safety specialist, another role as a cell leader, where you're supervising the shop floor, another role as a manufacturing quality engineer. And after your 2-year program, you have such a great understanding of the whole supply chain that you're really able to see kind of, where you want to go, what you want to do. You kind of see the full picture. A long time ago, I saw this bumper sticker, and it had a bunch of greyhounds, running all one in a row, and it said, "If you're not the lead dog, the scenery never changes." Okay, and I've been very fortunate, and I've seen OMLP graduates. We've had positions where we can see kind of like where the sum of the parts equal the whole. We see the full picture. So if you like that type of a thing, and you could be, whether you're an engineer, whether you're in finance or liberal arts, we've had very successful people in manufacturing participate in those types of roles, and you can see the full impact of the business by being in those types of roles. So,
Well, we're a restaurant company with 21 restaurants, so to say we have this rotational leadership program would be probably a little premature. We certainly have a great leadership development program for our store management, and if restaurants are your thing, like it's been for me for a really long time, you'll learn a lot there. For maybe more immediate, especially for the folks that are going to be here at Northeastern for a bit, we have a Campus Mavens program. My email is jim@boloco.com. Just send me an email and I can get you connected with the people that run it. But essentially, it's a lot of free Boloco food for you to help us, spread the love on campus. And then we also have Marketing Mavens, which is sort of the next step up. But it's just really about learning marketing and local store kind of marketing skills. So if that's your thing, it could work, and you can, save the money your parents give you for food and go across the street.
I'm obviously a little over halfway through my second one. My first one was a little bit longer, so I was able to make more of an impact, but that is one of a concern. Like, you don't get the bigger projects because, you're technically always new, for 3 years, but it's, they offer a mentor program within it, so you kind of get followed through, so they kind of help and guide you. And hopefully the next manager has a better feeling for who you are.
I think outside of Staples and just your career in general, for anybody, it's really what you make of it. I mean, if you want to be at the forefront, prove that you're a leader and put yourself at the forefront. If you're, I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is if they're trying to advance their career, it's getting comfortable in their day job. They say, okay, I'm going to go and work my 8, 9, 10 hours, and I'm going to go home, and on the weekends I'm good to go. And don't get me wrong, there's a life-work balance, and that's one of the most important things you guys got to create once you get out there. But you got to ask for more if you want to get ahead. Even if you are in a position of leadership, take on a little bit more. Take on side projects. Take on something that no one else wanted to touch, and prove that you can handle it. So I don't think that's an issue that you've run into at Staples, because you're, the interview process is pretty aggressive, and they're looking for people that they're going to kind of put your feet to the fire right away. So obviously, I've only been involved in Staples rotational programs, so I don't really have anything to benchmark it against. But it's a very highly visible program. I mean, if you interview for it, you'll interview with the senior vice president of logistics, who's 2 steps removed from the CEO of a $30 billion company. So you're going to get your exposure. You're going to get your opportunity to shine and succeed. There's been no one that's finished this program that hasn't moved on to an opportunity at a higher level, unless they didn't make it to the program. So not a concern, I would say, you're going to have to worry about the Staples.
I've been the assignment manager for many rotational programs, and I've had very, very good success with all of the people in the program. They own the program. They own their assignment, and it's 100%. And we're able to construct it. Part of it is the creativity of the assignment manager, but in the OMLP program, we have specific performance measures, objectives that are given out, and we stretch the individual, and they own their assignment, and we measure them at the end of their rotation.
The thing, you should all keep in mind with the rotational program is that, to word this properly, it's not a training program, but quite honestly, you're not contributing quite as much as someone who they know is going to be in that position for 3 or 4 years, right? Because you're going to, the fulfillment center part of what I did was a year. It was a year. I don't think I spent more than 3 or 4 months in a department. So it gives you just enough time to get to know the associates, start making some progress, and then you're moving on to something else they can train you from a leadership perspective. So, you got to remember that people are going to be looking at you to make sure that their investment was worth it up front in those 2 or 3 years to get that payoff in the long run. So I would say if you're in one of those types of programs and you're not necessarily getting that exposure that you feel, you probably should take it upon yourself to speak with someone to get that exposure and to make sure that you're getting the most out of the program. Because if these programs are instituted correctly, it's really a long-term investment on the company's part to get the most out of what they interviewed with, at the very beginning of the process. So.
Thank you.
Well, some of the back-end roles that we have are that I typically would have thought no one would have seen are we have this anti-theft system for the laptops where if the laptops go stolen, a child can report it stolen, and then the laptop becomes deactivated and it no longer is functional. And the importance of that system is very critical. Now that we have 2.5 million laptops around the world, that back-end infrastructure is very, very essential to our operations around the globe. And so that's a back-end operation that is very visible and one that you can have a significant impact on, both good and bad.
As far as the impact I've had, particularly, it's a very visible position that I'm in the area of fulfillment. Usually I'm the one that has to align the shop to meet priorities with respect to unhappy customers. Okay, and so it's very visible. Everybody comes to me. As far as my impact in the organization, I contribute in terms of my ability to forecast where we are, where we need to be in terms of inventory, product mix, and capacity planning. So that gives me a lot of satisfaction, and especially working with all of the different functional roles in the manufacturing supply chain.
Well, technology is definitely important to, from our CEO on down. He never puts his iPhone down, ever. And if you send him a tweet, he respond right away. So we're real tech-centric at Boloco. So, I've been here about 2 years, and putting a new kiosk across the street this morning. So if you go, you'll check them out. Self-ordering really helps our restaurant operations because the bottleneck is the cash register, right? You guys have been there, you stand in line. Well, now you can order on your own. So that was a great technology we put in the restaurants. And pay attention to this one even better. We have iPhone and Android app, and the prices are 10% less. So if you want Boloco today, order on your mobile phone and just go over and pick it up, and you'll save money. But that allows us to engage our customers through our mobile app. If you look at it, there's more than just ordering. We have all our social media stuff is in there, our Boloco TV. This is all, I think, kind of neat and fun stuff for a restaurant company.
Well, I'm essentially in the transportation field, so not the most exciting topic in the world, but obviously fuel is something that we struggle with. We have a multi-million-dollar fuel budget every year, and it's basically blown out the window because fuel just continually goes through the roof. I think beyond that, really, our biggest issue today is probably just the economy in general and sales. We're essentially shipping the same amount of boxes every year with less in those boxes, so we have to leverage our existing supply chain and our vendors who I work with in our transportation environment to try to get our costs down, and essentially, again, we're delivering that same box with just less sales. So how do you get the most out of your vendors, the most out of your people to get really to drive the same profit margins that you had when you had $150 in that box as opposed to what's now $100. So I would say just the overall economic climate and the challenges that we face with sales in general.
So one of the large struggles for us is, as a nonprofit organization, the problems with the economy have really hurt us, both in funding here in the United States. Originally in 2008 we had over $10 million in funding from for-profit companies that were supporting us, and since then we've had to change our strategy to focus more on just sales work in developing countries. In addition to that, we've also had issues, not really issues, but problems with competition and the netbook market, the tablet market, continuing to push prices down. And we've always thought that we have a very strong, valuable product for developing countries, but we always have to try and fight to maintain our role there, and also fight with our manufacturers to continue to help us find appropriate pricing to keep our base price of the laptop down.
One of our major issues is general upgrades because we have so many different departments. Just upgrading to Windows 7 becomes this giant project of multiple countries, multiple departments, a lot of applications, and checking whether or not they still fit or will work with Windows 7.
Biggest issue with us this year is particularly attention to cost and driving our productivity in the Lynn site. We compete with ourselves. We have 50 different manufacturing sites. We want to be the best. And the way we thrive in Lynn is our ability to drive cost out of our product. So there's a lot of healthy competition amongst all of the GE plants in the supply chain, and we need to figure out how to be the lowest cost. And when you are the lowest cost and you drive productivity into your shop, what that does is it sends the message to the rest of the company that, well, you know, they did such a great job, let's put more business here because we know that this will further fuel, you know, greater, you know, cost reductions in the future. So that's our big emphasis.
All right, so our challenge in our industry, we're a restaurant company, we make you guys food, and there's so many options. So I think that's always going to be a big challenge in this industry. And you can get a good meal at Stop and Shop these days. You can get, there's just so much non-traditional competition that, you know, we need to differentiate ourselves a different way than just great food and service. That's sort of, as we say, greens fees, right? You just need to be able to do that. So that's a huge challenge in our industry.
One of the greatest things that you guys at Northeastern, you know, you'll get to do is you'll be able to spend time in a professional environment before you get out into the real world. If you're participating in the co-op program, and if you're not, participate in the co-op program because you'd be crazy not to. I'm not sure what the requirements are by major anymore to do it. But if you do so and you network, you will be light years ahead of some of your, you know, your buddies, your counterparts at other schools, like I felt I was. So, you know, take advantage of the time you have here. And it's just as important to figure out what you don't want to do as it is to figure out what you do want to do. I found that out the hard way. I spent 6 weeks, well, I shouldn't really say it was the hard way because it was 6 weeks and I couldn't deal with it anymore, so I left. But you got to find something that you're passionate about. You know, if someone asks me if I'm passionate about Staples, like I said, I'm not a great sales guy, so I'm not passionate about Staples. I'm passionate about the people I work with, working with the team, and the people, you know, that I get to spend my days with. So find something that you like to do. You're at an advantage by being in school. You're at an advantage by getting 2 years of experience before you graduate. Take advantage of it. You know, once I started at Staples, I didn't feel like I was going to work anymore. And I'll tell you guys, that is just about the greatest thing you can experience in your career. It's waking up and not feeling like you're going to work, even though you're going to work. So take advantage of the time you have here, network, find out what you're passionate about, and go after it. No reason you can't have it. So that would be my advice.
So as has been discussed, I think everyone on the board here has said networking, interpersonal relationships. I've met people all over the world. I have email addresses, contacts everywhere around, and everywhere I go, it always helps. I can connect people. And we do a lot of work in South and Central America, and I connect people on a weekly basis in Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Peru, Chile, all over the world. And it's a great feeling to be able to, one, travel and know you can pick up the phone or email someone when you arrive in country, and they'll be there at the airport to pick you up, and also just to be able to continue that networking process. So get out there early, try and figure out what it is you want to do.
For things I wish I knew coming in, but I don't know anything. I went in thinking I had some idea of what IT terms were. They can mean completely different things in different companies. So have a pen and paper ready with every acronym you can think of, and don't be afraid to ask.
You know, as far as advice to you guys, being the fifth guy, it's hard to add so much, but you know, we've all kind of in our way talked about networking. And I think that one thing that I'll add to networking that hasn't been mentioned is, you know, don't be afraid to ask people that you meet for help professionally, for career help, for career advice. You know, I've reached out to people I've met at Northeastern that are, you know, senior original investors in Google and, you know, multimillionaires, and they're like, yeah, let's talk tomorrow. And, you know, you think, I could never talk to this person. But, you know, I speak for these guys a little bit, you know, we're certainly probably willing to help any of you guys if we can. So don't be afraid to ask for that. And put yourself in situations where you can make those relationships. And the second thing about advice is you know, Doug mentioned passion. You know, when you get out of school, if you don't love what you do something else. Because your life will start going by and you'll realize that I'm not as good as I could be. If you find something you love doing, you're going to be amazing at it. You know, certainly there's a lot of going on in the world of technology. You know, things are advanced so much faster every year, faster than the last year. So, you know, creativity is really important. How can I apply this new and exciting thing to real business problems and make a difference? So, you know, certainly we need to be creative from a design and aesthetics perspective, as well as how do we apply things to business problems. You know, how do I get inspiration? Really from talking to customers. I spend a good amount of time in the restaurant. I'm usually the scary guy in the corner that walks up to you and says, how do you like that machine? Does it work well for you? And I'm like, you know, and I have to introduce myself, and they think, okay, he's not a creepy guy after all. But you know, just getting and talking to customers and understanding what works well and what doesn't. You know, likely going to start having tech town halls in one of our restaurants that closes at 5, and just invite you know, a room full of customers, give them free food, and say, hey, what can we do differently better?
I often find a lot of inspiration from the field and how children use our device and their usage patterns, breakage percentages, and then bring that back and work with our engineers to find out how we can make our laptop better and more ruggedized for these children.